Well, welcome to the San Diego Argonauts September Sail Point races for the Santa Barbara 1 design. The Sail Point races are our monthly races we hold here in Mission Bay in San Diego. Keep track of the races during the year, and at the end of the year we name a fleet champion. We're going to have 3 races today. Winds about 8 knots or so out of the west. We have some shifts coming from the right, that is the northwest, as well as the left, the southwest. That line generally is a fair line, and as you'll see, most of the boats want to be toward the near pin, the near end of the line. We're about 15 seconds away from the start of the first race right now, so let me kind of walk you through my stream of consciousness as the race progresses. I am the red boat, 1326, and I have a camera, a little miniature camera mounted on the top of my hat, and the camera looks wherever I am looking, so that's the picture that you'll see. So again, the race is about ready to start. Let me walk you through what's happening. Well, we're about 15 seconds away from the start at this point. Boats are approaching on starboard. As you can see, most of the boats want to be at the pin end. I just want to make sure I'm on the line with headway as the bell goes off. Done pretty well there. I've got a good leeward position. I had clear air. I did have good speed. I decided to tack pretty soon after starting. I'm truthfully not sure exactly why I didn't just carry on starboard. I know I do like clean air. I do like staying to the right hand side of the pond if I'm able. You can see I'm getting into a little bit of shallow water here. Tacked out to starboard, and now all the boats you can see in the picture are working their way up to the weather mark. Wind's gotten a little lighter, maybe down to 6 knots or so. I've kind of taken a little bit of a risk by getting very far away from the competition. Sometimes that can pay off, sometimes it doesn't pay off, but you're kind of rolling the dice. A more conservative thing to do would be stay closer to the competition and stay closer to the middle of the pond, where you could keep an eye if the wind's filling on the left side or filling on the right side, and then of course try to head over there. Right now I've got the wind's okay, not great, 6 knots or so, and I had a good lift in there, but I've gotten close to the ley line, port tack ley line, so I've tacked over. I'm in fairly good position. I'm giving a little bit of bad air to a boat that's leeward of me. Now, there is a boat that's to weather of me, and he is going to be ahead going around the mark. I have to be careful of any starboard tackers that are coming in, because of course they have right of way. Wind got a little bit light here, and so I have gone a little further than the boats below me. I think they tacked a little sooner. You can see the puffs coming in as the boat heels over, sets up, then heels over again. And the idea is just keep the boat moving. So the 2 boats that tacked earlier, you can see, did not make the mark, and they're struggling to get around. In the meantime, I did get around the mark in 2nd place, so I'm looking pretty good. And I think we'll just break off at this point and head on to the next race. My philosophy, by the way, is in doing these videos is you want to get off to a good start with clean air. And if you do that, you sail on the lifts, you'll be in good shape at the weather mark. And if you do that, I think in the races, overall, you're going to do just fine. So let's go on and break off here, and let's go catch the start of the 2nd race. Alright, well, we're about 15 seconds away from race number 2. Again, I expect that the boats are going to want to be at the near end of the pin, the near pin end. 15 seconds until the start. Now, I'm just trying to slow myself down because that's plenty of time. There's some boats zipping past me. I'm not too worried about them. They're going to be on the far side of me by the time the bell goes off. There is the bell.
Almost there.
I was on the line. I had speed, and I was pretty much in close haul position as the bell went off. So that's just exactly what I wanted to be able to do. The other boats also were on at speed and on the line pretty much. So that's a pretty fair start. But I'm in a position, because I started at the pin, that I can tack when I want to and go over to port. The boats that are even with me aren't going to be able to tack and cross me. And the one boat that was behind, of course, he's tacked off and onto port now. So we're just continuing on starboard. I decided to be a little more conservative in this race, stay more with the competition. But when we started getting a little close to that far side, I decided it was time to tack off. So I'm on port now, working back. Again, I'm the red boat. I've got a starboard tacker now that's headed toward me. I need to be a little concerned about him, but he doesn't have a lot of speed. There he is. He's starting to heel and get his speed going. The Santa Barbara is a pretty heavy boat. When I tack in the lighter air like this, it's probably 6 knots at this point. I let my sails out a little bit and get some speed, then pull the sails in, then start trying to point. If you start pointing or trying to point first, the boat is not going to accelerate, and you're not going to have any boat speed. So now I've stayed to the right of the pack pretty much. I'm on starboard tack. I've got right away. I've got a good puff. I've got reasonable heel on the boat in there. That shows me the wind's pretty good. Judge the ley line fairly well, and I'm around the weather mark in pretty good shape. So at this point, it's just kind of a drag race between the boats. I've got clear air. I'm ahead. They've got to catch me at this point. So let's break off now. Let's head to race number 3. Okay, here we are at race number 3. This is going to be our last race for the Santa Barbaras. About 15 seconds at this point. And I am the red boat. I've decided that I need to get some speed and get to leeward of a couple of the boats. I've got clear air. My boat was at speed. Now I'm kind of leeward of the fleet, which means I don't get to choose when I tack over to port. But I do have clear air and I've got reasonably good boat speed, so I've just got to hang in at this point and let my boat speed do the work. This is why we go out and practice, to get our boats tuned up so that we've got good boat speed, so when we get in a crowd we can stay up with them and hopefully even pull away from them a little bit. Now the boat on my starboard hip has tacked off.
I heard that.
And so that allowed me to be able to tack, but I have found, it's a little hard to see in the video right now, but I am still on starboard, but there's a very good lift in there, and I'm basically at this point sailing right up the pond. So we had a big starboard tack lift come in, and that's pretty good air. There's a fair amount of heel on the boat, as well as the boat's pointing pretty high, so I feel very good about that. But the issue will be, as I sail up the pond, I want that lift to go away so I can tack on the port and come up to the weather mark. And I got lucky. That shift did go away, and as a matter of fact, I think the shift's coming a little bit from the left now. So I'm actually getting lifted up on the port tack. And I think the boats are fairly even in speed. Certainly this gain that I have looking at the other boats was because of the shift, not because of any boat speed issues or I was in any wind and they were in a lull. So I've got to the weather mark in I think very good shape. Rounded the mark and away we go. So again, my philosophy, get a good start, clear air, be at speed when you get to the line. Try to be able to tack if you get into a header. But that just depends on where you got yourself in the start line. Fortunately, although I was kind of pinned and needed to stay on starboard, that worked out okay for me. And then I got into a lift. I followed that lift up the pond, and fortunately the lift went away. I was able to tack, and sailing on the lifts, there's nothing like sailing on the lifts going to the weather mark. You'll come out smelling sweet every time. So that does it for our Santa Barbaras for sail points for September for now. I hope you enjoyed this, found it informative. I always enjoy looking at the races after they happen because there are things that I learned that I don't see while I'm out there actually sailing the boat. So I've enjoyed this, and I hope to see you next month. Take care.